Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart, and I'm excited to bring you live from the Jersey Shore, Justin Bosak. Before we get into introducing today's guest, Mr. Bosak, I just want to reiterate the purpose of all of this. The reason why I get up every day and I'm fired up to bring you the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. It's because when you start to think bigger, when you surround yourself like today's guest, your mind starts to think differently. You start to think bigger. And as a result, your own possibilities start to expand. You start to see things that were right in front of you, but you didn't see them before. You start to hear things that were being spoken around you, but you didn't hear them before. The purpose of this show, again, is to expand that, expand your mindset so that your possibilities in life start to get bigger and bigger. So as a reminder, if you go to the website, thinkbigger.realestate, you can get a weekly summary update of these shows with highlights. You're going to love that. So be sure and get signed up for that. About today's guest, again, he is a gentleman who is growing very quickly, making a big impact along the Jersey Shore in New Jersey. His name is Justin Bosak. He owns Remax Revolution, which is a 45 agent group. He runs the Oceans 6 group, which is the number 2 team in all of New Jersey. Pretty fantastic for a young guy like you, Mr. Justin Bosak. He has, again, a team of 14 that helps him create that kind of production and several support staff as well. And today we're going to talk a little bit about controlling your own economy and how Justin's gone about doing that. Right now in the news, there's all kinds of talk about how we're overdue for a recession, how rates are low, but they won't stay low forever. How who knows what's going to happen with the trade wars. And the message that both Justin and I, Justin Squared, both of us want to deliver to you today is that the ultimate world, national, local economy does not matter as much as your own economy, that you have the biggest influence over your own economy, over everything else that's happening out there. And so we're going to dig into a little bit about how Justin's done what he's done, so that we can all learn from that and have greater control over our own economy, so that regardless of what happens with rates, with China, with whatever, that your economy will be strong. So Justin, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Excited to have you here. Excited to share your energy and your compassion for real estate with this audience.
Sure thing, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about kind of your kind of role in real estate. How long have you been in the business, Justin?
What year is it? 2019. So that's 16 years now.
Okay, perfect. 16 years. You look pretty young. I would imagine you're in your mid 30s. Is that accurate?
Thank you. 38. So yeah.
38. Okay.
Mid 30s.
Very good. I was born just a couple years after you. Just celebrated my big 4-0 here a couple weeks ago. So it's pretty awesome up here. You're going to love it even more than the 30s. So you obviously expert in real estate, have been in it long enough. At what point did you start your own brokerage?
We just started the brokerage last year. So,
okay.
It kind of grew from, developing a team and then, having our own innovative ideas. And we kind of blocked on some things that we wanted to do with the team. So it just was a natural fit to just grow and just say, all right, well, if you're not going to allow us to grow within the brokerage and do the things that we need to do to become number one, we're going to have to take it to the next level and start our own brokerage.
Interesting. So you realize your ambitions were bigger than the arena you were playing in. And you realize, I can't slow down for where I'm at. I'm going to have to go create my own arena.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I came through, 06, 07, 08, so you saw the highest of the highs and then the lowest of the lows. So, my thought back then was, listen, nobody's ever going to take it away from me. When I know something's right and I got to do something, I'm just going to work hard and keep at it. And you can't let other people limit you. Your innovation and your growth. It's very important to be able to do what you feel is right for you and your business. So don't ever let somebody stop you or tell you no when you know what's right. Interesting.
We oftentimes create glass ceilings. One, right, is the arena that we play in. Secondly, I think is the arena that we think within, right? Is oftentimes we think, I can't do that. I'm not as talented as Justin Bosak, right? I don't have the same skills. I haven't been in the industry as long as he has. I'm not New Jersey, right? I'm I'm in a much smaller market. There's all kinds of things that these continual tapes that we run through our head every day that create our own reality, right? And what I hear you saying is that once you start to change those tapes, you start to think a little bit bigger. You start to realize that there's more possibilities, and that you kind of get restless, and you realize I have to do something more. I can't know what I know and feel what I feel and stay doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really just comes down to just taking notice of what's happening, in your market, and then maybe having the understanding that, hey, in 4 or 5 years, the top players may not be the top players. The top companies may not be the top companies. The way business is done, it's going to change, and it's going to happen at such a fast rate, regardless of what happens in the market. I think the market, a crash or some kind of recession is only going to accelerate it that much further. I think there's some things that are here in the real estate industry that are going to remain. I saw after the last recession, some things went away. Took a while for them to come back, but with technology and innovation, and you got all these big players and all this big money in real estate, there's so much attention on this business, and everybody's trying to squeeze every dollar they can out of us as realtors. So we have to really proactively take our business, look at it as a whole, and say, how can I protect it? If commissions are cut and the new norm is at 1.5% on the list side or 1.5% on the sales side, what are you going to do about it? Is your life set up financially, that you could weather that storm? And that's the thing is preparing for the future. And I think real estate's going to go through some major changes. I really do.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to realize what happened during the recession to our economy as a whole, right? Is that major corporations were forced to do more with less. And so they brought in a lot of automation. Obviously, they cut their workforce pretty significantly. And everyone thought that as the economy recovered, that they would hire again. And a lot of companies did not, because they replaced their workforce to some degree with automation, with computers. And I think because our society started to turn that way and technology had caught up to the point to where that could happen and was possible, people started to look around to say, what other industries are people heavy? And ought we start to rely more upon automation? And obviously, we've seen that come into real estate, with reckless abandon here over the past few years, with hundreds of billions of dollars being spent in the industry in which we live and work to minimize what real estate agents do and get paid, or eliminate the agent altogether, right? And we're seeing that happen. And what I hear you saying is that despite that, regardless of what's happening there, right, there's some realities, there's some areas in where we can add more value to where we don't play that price war. Yet, even as prices potentially do come down a bit, the answer is what? What would you say? Is it just do more business, have more volume, Justin? Is that your kind of bet moving forward?
Yes, I mean, it's just creating more solutions for your client and having more control over different things that happen in a transaction. So whether it's, owning a mortgage company, owning a homeowner's insurance company, or even, having a partnership with a title company, things like that, just to kind of, know that if the recession hits, there's some other ways to generate income. I look at it like this. I mean, if you and this is probably true at any market, 80% of the agents really shouldn't be in business. So how easy is it for the automation that you just talked about to really just eliminate them, so that, if they were doing 4 or 5 deals, they're only doing one, and then, hopefully, I mean, my hope is really that this industry kind of goes through a process where becoming a realtor becomes that much harder. Either there's much more of an investment, there's much more education needed, because I think, realtors do get a bad rap. The top agents, they're doing a ton of work. There's a ton of money spent to procure a lead, and then what they take away, and obviously, you get a $20,000 commission check. That $20,000 isn't going in your pocket. I mean, I think most realtors at the end of the day are lucky to keep, $5,000 as actual income after you pay, expenses and taxes and investment and things like that. So, the new companies coming in with the automation, they're trying to lower commissions. They're trying to eliminate us altogether by, literally buying the houses as Zillow's doing, and then just reselling them to the public, but charging them outrageous fees. So it's just coming up with solutions so that way, you have something to compete. So if Zillow's saying, hey, we're making offers, we're buying homes, and that's not even where they're making their money. They're making their money, they're going to be making their money on mortgages and then selling us, leads back. So it's kind of taking your business and saying, well, how could I become versatile if things do change? And that shift can come, pretty quickly. So if you're not in the top 10% of your market, I'd say you're at risk. Like, you got to fight right now to kind of create and innovate and put yourself out there. Otherwise, in the next couple of years, if we do hit any kind of recession, you're going to be out of business.
Yeah, we're absolutely seeing it. There's kind of the bigger companies are predicting that half of the agents are going to be out of the workforce here in the next couple of years. I don't know if that's economically driven or if that's more just based on technology driven and innovation, and the fact that more and more people are going to rely upon kind of the iBuyer situation. It was interesting. There was a case study done here in Portland on an iBuyer company. I won't mention them. I don't want to receive a letter from their attorney necessarily, but the company purchased a home, and agents here tracked what actually happened to that home. And they sold it for about $50,000 more than what they bought it for, and carried it for about 4 months. So to the homeowner, right, that accepted one of these letters in the mail that said, hey, this company's going to buy your home, right? They sold their home about 4 months faster, right? They unloaded it 4 months faster, but it came at a premium, right? Like $12,000 a month is what they lost, or is kind of what they paid for that convenience. That's a lot of money. And I think part of agents' responsibility is to be aware of what these costs really are, of like how the competitors are coming in, and speak the truth to consumers that yes, there's a convenience, but there's a heavy convenience fee that you need to be aware of. And I agree with you that things are changing, but part of that change needs to come in agents increasing their value proposition as well as increase their voice so that they can speak the truth about what's really happening in the industry and who their competitors really are, not in a slandering kind of way, but just speaking the numbers. Like, here's what's happened. Here's this model, and here's how this model works. Is it good for you? Maybe, possibly not, though.
Yeah, and I think it's just educating yourself. So if you're in one of those markets, luckily we aren't, really in a market where a big player has come in. It's just having a solution. So, I mean, there are people that do need to sell very quickly. So they will take that hit. And if you don't have a solution for them and it's just, oh, well, I can put it on the market. Well, obviously all the other agents can just do the same thing. The solution is we need to close quickly and we can't go through, a deal falling through because our home is at risk or whatever the reason may be. I have investors that do this, for a living locally, and we're getting involved in that arena. We're actually going to be kind of joining hands and kind of attacking it together, but it's going to be solution based. So, as a Remax agent, you can make an offer on a house and close in 30 days. And they can get paid a commission as a buyer's agent though. So they're getting paid from the investor. But at the same time, we're going to be giving them market value and proper expectations of what it takes to sell. Whether it's you got to repair, A, B, and C, or we're going to just do a little staging, whatever it may be. So they have a full knowledge of kind of what the reality of, selling quickly for less, or taking the chance, putting it on the market and getting market value. So if you don't have that solution, you can't really compete. So if Zillow does come into your market and, a client wants that and you can't offer it, I mean, what are you going to do? You lost the client.
Yeah, it behooves agents to, again, start to think bigger and start to put preparations in place, one in their own production, right? But also, like you said, to start to think creatively, to think about, okay, if we're coming into the housing market right now as a generation that thrives on convenience, right? They want not just prime delivered in 2 days, they want prime now delivered in 2 hours. How can I offer them that and still be a part of it?
Yeah, so as an agent, I know it's not as easy as you can start your own company and do all these things, but you can tie in with a local investor. You can tie in, there's hard money lenders now everywhere, so finding out who the hard money lenders are in your area, find out who their investors are, and again, having that solution. So if you hear about somebody that needs to move quickly, you have something, something that you can offer to them. So it's just creating those relationships, which is the key. Because again, it's not, you don't want to necessarily, you're not going to be in business with Zillow. I don't think they're here to be in the agent business. I think they're just technology driven, and we're just going to be almost minions to Zillow to kind of, but at a smaller rate. You're not going to be making a good commission if you're in business with them. So. Yeah.
It was interesting. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with an agent who was a big proponent of Zillow. And I said, I don't think Zillow is your friend. And he said, look, I have kind of boastfully, I have a text message right here from Spencer Raskoff, who's the CEO of Zillow, who said that like agents will always be a part of it. And I kind of backed down because he was getting pretty heated. And I was like, okay, right. And now guess what? Spencer Raskoff's no longer the CEO. Are agents still involved? Yes. But are they getting paid less? Yes. Like I just don't think that. I think their loyalty is to stockholders, not to agents, right?
Yeah, I mean, he conveniently is not in that chair anymore, and it's because how could you face the public and the agents that you're making your bread from the agents, and you said one thing, and now you're going after something else. So there's no way he could be the face of Zillow. But just like that, Zillow said, well, how could we make? All right, we're going to shake it up. We're just going to put somebody else in the chair. He didn't say that.
Yeah,
Raskoff's out.
Yeah,
so,
he was able to keep his word, and on they went. Taking care of stockholders, not necessarily taking care of agents. So, again, I'm not necessarily anti Zillow. Like I got to hand it to them. Like they've got a powerful business model, but I do think that we need to be very aware of as far as who we're funding, who we're partners with, and what their ultimate where their ultimate loyalty is. If it's to agents, then I think you probably ought to double down. If their loyalty is to stockholders, I think you probably ought to beware, right? Unless you are a stockholder, then buy more stock.
Right.
So let's talk about real quick here, Justin, the optimism that you have. Obviously, there's some dark clouds on the horizon, right? For the traditional agent that's not well prepared for this. Obviously, you are preparing yourself for what's coming and what's here and thriving as a result. Because you're stepping out as a leader, you've got people attracted to you, right? You've grown a brokerage in a very short period of time of 45 agents. I'm sure that's just the beginning. You're going to keep on growing. Talk to us a little bit about your focus on stepping outside of just the circles that are immediately around you to learn and to grow, and how that's maybe helped you in this optimism that you have.
Yeah, so number one is leveraging your time. So, the key thing with my business is I actually do have two business partners. So I'm still in production. I have one guy that is running the team as a team manager, and then the other guy's our office broker. So he's running and dealing with the brokerage stuff. They're doing training actually right now for Boosh, which is the new Remax website and CRM. So it allows me to do more of the innovation. I'm very, creative. I'm very into the marketing and advertising of the business. It allows me to then expand and take some time to look at some things and develop some things and not have to be bogged down with like day-to-day operational stuff. I'm not good with paperwork. I hate paperwork. I'm not good with, just the whole brokerage thing. I don't have my broker's license. I don't want it because I don't want to be put in a position where I'm actually the guy that's being asked all these, silly questions about real estate. I'm more come to me with the marketing stuff. I'll teach you how to take your business to the next level. So doing that, I really got a lot of my knowledge from listening to podcasts. I spent a lot of time just evaluating different things and looking and researching. But I really found that listening to, there's a show, Pat Hyman's Real Estate Rockstars. That was like the number one thing that I tuned into, where I learned a ton of information about agents that are just way beyond even the top agent in my market. And they're giving away all this information and it doesn't cost you anything. So you just really need to sit back and say, how can I apply maybe 1, 2, or 3 things from that conversation to my business? So it's a lot of, it was a lot of time, researching, but how are you going to get to the next level? You know what I mean? The number one agent in your market is going to sit you down and say, hey, this is exactly what I do. And he may be doing things wrong too, so it's looking outside of your marketplace and saying, well, what is going on where, across the country, maybe in some of these hotter markets that's working, that's taking people to different levels. I've had agents reach out to me just from networking and being part of, different groups online. And, there's some areas that just really aren't, they're not cutting edge at all. So you got to look and see what's outside my market. I had an agent that works in an area that's not very dense, and nobody was doing professional photography. Nobody was doing drone or video or anything. It was just basic real estate, just like it was back in the day. And she started last year, And 1 year in the business, she's a top agent in the market, and she's crushing it. She's absolutely killing it. I mean, it's crazy. So, again, if I didn't have that relationship with her husband, who's a title agent, very good title agent, where we can I gave him a lot of information about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and he was able to just put it and implement it, and she was able to just run with it, which was awesome. But if she just dealt with, well, this is just what the other agents in the market do, she wouldn't have the same success that she has now. So a lot of it was her. I mean, she's a type A personality, but she got the playbook, so it helped her just accelerate where she's at in her growth.
Yeah, there's a bit of a changing of the guard happening. We're seeing that with some agents coming in and becoming top producers in a hurry. Yep. And, they're willing to embrace kind of the new media. They're willing to embrace kind of new methodology and come in and gain mind share, right? Owning real estate in people's brains so that they can then gain market share. And we're seeing that. And it's kind of an exciting time because there's some great leaders coming into the industry despite these clouds on the horizon, right? There's people out there that are super ambitious saying, actually, now's a great time because the hobby agents aren't going to last. It's going to become a true industry of professionals. And I'm a professional, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to win. So anyway, it's exciting to see that. Love hearing that story. I'm going to end with our signature question, Justin. I feel like you and I could talk for a long time, and I'm sure we'll continue to. So I appreciate your time. But the signature question of the show, which is this: you are a big thinker, hence the TB, Think Big, Think Bigger real estate show here behind me. What does a guy like you do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your own possibilities? Teach us.
Yeah, so just taking the time and for yourself to really sit down and study and analyze your business and where am I getting my business from and where am I going in the future and what are other people doing to help grow their businesses and trying things and paying money and spending money. And that's the thing is I could speak, from a point of like, we've tried like everything. We've wasted a ton of money doing a lot of different marketing and advertising things that didn't work, so I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't have somebody to really say, no, don't do that. That's a waste of money, but my agents do, because they come to us and, they say, well, what do you think about this? And we tell them, no, don't do that. So yeah, I mean, it's just really finding maybe a mentor that is really, maybe where you want to be, or next step above you, and learning what you can, and I find that just when you get to a certain level, like I don't care. Like I have agents in my own market that ask me questions that work for competitors, Keller Williams. If you're a good person, if you're a good dude, I'll share, I'll let you know kind of what's going on. I'm not going to give you everything, but, if you ask me, a question, I'm going to give you my opinion. So it's really just using your networking, whether it be on Facebook and joining different groups, but listening to podcasts has allowed me to find out, like, I like how that guy talks. I like how he works. There's a guy named Ricky Caruth down in Alabama, killing it, single agent, $1 million, doing a bunch of training for agents. And I just liked the way he approached things because he wasn't a hard seller. He literally was just, hey, whatever's best for the client. It's relationships over dollars. And that's how I've always been. So it's refreshing to just find other people above you that, hey, I want to get there. I want to do $1 million in production. I'm not at that level. Just watch what he's doing, see how he's doing it. Just ask him questions. He's more than available. He answers, he responds. So it's just, thinking bigger, going outside of your sphere, get outside your bubble, get outside your comfort zone. You can't just sit back and just think that everything's going to be all good moving forward. This business, this industry is always going to change. So if you're not changing, and if you're not really approaching it like a business, if you're just kind of just doing what your clients tell you to do and not really investing and building it like a business, I think it's going to be an issue moving forward for a lot of agents. So my hope is, people, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I mean, I'm more than willing to help people out.
I love it, man. Let's be sure and get everyone who's listening to this. Let's get you in their network. So if they ever have any real estate needs in New Jersey, they know who to contact. What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, cell phone, I guess, 732-644-6217. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My name is Justin Bosak. Justin Bosak, Bosak @gmail.com. or if you want to check out what we got going on, you can look up the Ocean 6 group on Facebook and, see what a solid Facebook page looks like, see what some Facebook ads that are not just boosted posts that are, managed ads in the back end, what they look like. So feel free to take a look at it, check it out, steal it. Information's there for you.
People that are big thinkers like you, that are abundant mind, that are like, look, come learn from me. I'll learn from you. Let's learn together, right? Instead of like all the cards held in my chest, can't show you anything that I'm doing. I love that the fact that even in your own marketplace, you're willing to be that way. It says a lot about you, and the reason why you're having such success is because people are attracted to that kind of leadership. They're attracted to people that help them, that serve them, that lead them, and that's what leadership looks like. So I want to thank you for your time, Justin. It's been a total pleasure. You've added tons of value to the Think Bigger Real Estate audience, and it's been a total pleasure. I want to thank you again, and encourage everybody here to find Justin, put him in your network. Should you have people moving this way or that way, be sure and get in contact with him. And then my final request of everybody is 3 simple words that are a charge to all of us, which are go, think bigger. Thanks again, Justin. Appreciate you being here, and look forward to staying in contact, my friend.